Hello everyone, my name is Cindy Lopez and today I will be presenting my parasite Crassicauda boopis. Nematodes. What are nematodes? Nematodes are from the phylum Nematoda, which are generally most, if not all, roundworms. Their sizes range from 0.2 millimeters all the way up to 6 meters. That's huge. They can be found in most habitats, including inside and on host animal and plants. There have been approximately 23,000 species that have been described, and they can be species-specific in terrestrial life. So who is Crassicauda boopis? Their common name are whale kidney worms, but the genus Crassicauda can be found generally in baleen and toothed whales. Crassicauda boopis is specific to Balaenoptera physalis, which is their definitive host. Their habitat includes the renal and cardiovascular systems in these whales, and they are generally transmitted transplacentally or during the lactation from mother and calf. They are considered endoparasites, and they are generally identified by the cephalic and terminal fragments of the adult specimen only. They can cause thrombosis in the renal veins, which results in renal failure and eventually death. Balaenoptera physalis is the second largest whale species in the world. This is actually the fin whale. They can range from sizes of 59 to 89 feet, and their habitats generally offshore waters in all major oceans, on temperate and polar latitudes, but are not as common in the tropics. In this image here, I included a size comparison to an African elephant and a human. So the life cycle of Crassicauda boopis. The eggs are generally thick and they measure about 50 micrometers in size. They can be found in the urine of the infected animals, which is their primary portal of exit, and the pulmonary air spaces. The larvae of Crassicauda boopis penetrate the gastrointestinal walls and migrate to the mesenteric arteries and aorta. They can become lodged in the capillary of other tissues in different organs, which can also cause thrombosis if they don't make it all the way down to the kidneys. Adult worms are found in the kidneys, which is their definitive habitat, and they generally get there via the aorta or through arterial blood flow. The image provided here shows you the eggs in that thick wall, and then where the eggs can be found in the major calyx of the kidney. The image here shows you what a larva would typically look like. They're pretty small in comparison to the adult size of these worms. This image here, though pretty gruesome, shows you some adult worms. These worms are actually 20 centimeters in length, and you can see how they have caused that thrombosis. This is actually taken from the lung, I believe, of one of these worms. And you can see how many there are in this one space, which could have honestly caused the death of this whale. So the anatomical features. They can grow between 1.5 meters to 2 meters in length. Their width at the anterior end is 5 millimeters, while at the posterior end is about 1 millimeter. So they're usually thicker on the head and thinner at the tail. Their head is located at the tip of the tapered section, so at the very, very tip of this section at the anterior side, and their mouth has 2 lateral lips. This image here gives you more of a detailed look on how these worms, so this figure B gives you the posterior end. You can see where the cloaca is right here at the end. Figure C is the head, and you can see that tapered end tip right here. This is for the female worms. Image D is the tail of a male, sorry. And this is the ventral view. Image E, or figure E, is the anterior view of the female head, so looking straight forward towards you, and you can see the two lateral lips of the worm. And then figure F, here is a larvated egg. So this is right before the larva emerges from egg casing. So these images here show you more of a real-life worm. You can see that tapered head right there at the tip. For this first image here, it's a magnification of 20x, and then a close-up of the head of the female worm at 400x. This third image here on the right is the end, and you can see where that cloaca opening is at the end. So the technique used to collect, preserve, and visualize these worms are pretty straightforward. So they're collected from deceased whales. Unfortunately, that's the only way they can collect them. The adults are found in the in the kidneys and in the lumen of the vena cavas. Eggs are found in various other parts of the body, which include the airway, kidneys, urethra, capillaries, lungs, abdominal walls, and the gastrointestinal tract. To preserve the worms, they generally take these specimens and they place them in 70% ethanol to preserve them. And for morphological identification, they clarify them in Ammann's lactophenol solution and 10% glycerol. In order for them to visualize, well, they're pretty big, so you can see them with the naked eye, but in order to identify them, in order to identify these worms specifically, you have to use light microscope to check out the anatomical features and take measurements to make sure that you have the right species of worm. Well, that is the end of my presentation. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out and let me know, and I'll be available for you. This last slide here are my references.